Hello, everyone. This is Sherry DeValley with Redoubt News. I'm here with Ammon Bundy, and he has some important information that he would like to talk to the jurors of the Bunkerville case. I'm going to flip this around, and hold on. There we go.
So first of all, I want to thank Sherry DeValley and Redoubt News for sending this message out. I do want to be as clear as possible that this message is for members of the grand jury in the U.S. versus Bundy case, so the grand jury members, and also members of the trial jury in the first tier trial. And that's the trial in which Todd Engel and Greg Burleson were convicted, and Eric Parker, Stephen Stewart, Scott Drexler, and Ricky Loveling were deemed to be a mistrial. Now, speaking to these jury members, it is very clear that you were lied to and that exculpatory evidence was withheld from you. And we think that that is impactful. We think that it is extremely important that when we're in a courtroom, that the jury is able to hear and understand the truth. And in fact, witnesses get up on the stand and they are put under oath to tell the truth, all of the truth, and nothing but the truth. And we don't believe that you, as jury members, were allowed to hear all the truth. And there's a huge argument of whether you were lied to, and we would like to present that information to you so that we can get these things straight. Why is this important? Because we have men in prison right now, one facing 68 years and another facing 20 years based upon what was presented in their trial. And we believe that if you had the correct information, it would have made a difference. So first of all, to specifically members of the grand jury, several federal agents testified to you under oath, and now it has been proven in the court under oath also that these federal agents either lied to you or were misled by those who were getting their information from. Specifically, let me explain one of the witnesses that testified to you as the grand jury. Get my notes up here. I apologize, I had this open and lost my spot, so I'll get it here quickly though. Okay, so this was in the grand jury, and I'll get it here. And very important for the grand jury to understand what happened there, and that everything that was said in the grand jury testimonies was not accurate. And this is only one specific example of it. So, I apologize here.
Weren't there 3 definitive testimonies?
Yeah, so we have testimonies from Larry Wooten. We have testimony from Dan Love and a testimony from Rand Stover. And all of those testimonies were not presented to you correctly. Either the witness was lying, or the witness in Larry Wooten's case was not given the correct information, and therefore what he presented to the grand jury was not correct. And again, I apologize because I had it here specifically, and I sure hope that I didn't lose it. It's very important that I present this to you. And I don't know why I can't find it. If not, I might have to go to another file here.
Can you do a search?
Yeah, I'll get it. I'm going to search one more time this file, and if not, I will go to another file. Okay, I apologize. I did find it. When seeking to prosecute the Bundy family, Nadia Ahmed, U.S. prosecutor, called Larry Wooten to testify to the grand jury. Agent Wooten from the BLM was the lead investigator on the Clive and Bundy Gold Butte impound operation. However, he was not at the Bundy Ranch during the operation. When testifying to the grand jury, Ahmed asked Wooten, now, quote, "Now, to your knowledge, were there ever BLM snipers pointed at the Bundy family members during the Dave Bundy arrest?" Unquote. Wooten answered, quote, "No, ma'am," unquote. She then says, quote, "Can you explain to the grand jury what officers were doing in that overwatch position?" Unquote. Wooten then explains that the officers were in that position, quote, so they could radio back to dispatch. That's what he was told. Wooten was told. One of the officers on the hill that Wooten testified was Agent Brunk, the same Brunk that reported that he was, quote, a spotter for a BLM sniper, unquote. In an email to Andrew Goldsmith, Associate Deputy Attorney General, dated November 27, 2017, written many months after testifying to the grand jury, Agent Wooten writes this, quote, "The government, Steve Myrie and Nadia Ahmed, relied on factual incorrect talking points and on or about February 15, 2017, misrepresented the case facts about government snipers during trial. It is unknown if this misrepresentation was on purpose or accidental. I cannot explain this in detail," unquote. Further, he writes, quote, "The investigation indicates that there was at least one school-trained federal sniper equipped with a scoped magnified optic bolt-action precision rifle, another federal officer equipped with a scoped magnified optic large frame 308 caliber, AR-style rifles, and many officers that utilized magnified optics with long-range graduated reticles, and that often officers were in overwatch positions." Unquote. Agent Wooten goes on to say that U.S. Attorney Steve Myrie covered these facts up because of, quote, extreme personal and religious bias and a desire to win the case at all costs, unquote. Wooten then says, quote, "I feel that he, Myrie, is likely willing to ignore and fail to report exculpatory material, extreme bias, and act unethically and possibly deceptively to win," unquote. When speaking to Judge Navarro in open court, Steve Myrie indicated multiple times that there was, quote, "no BLM snipers and no plans to use BLM snipers," unquote. After the Bundy defense team presented compelling evidence to the court that the, quote, BLM and federal snipers were in fact surrounding the Bundy home, unquote, Steve Myrie and the other U.S. attorneys, Dan Sheese and Nadia Ahmed, backtracked and said, quote, "it was an inadvertent mistake," unquote. Over 20 exculpatory documents were willfully not turned over to the Bundy defense team, totaling more than 1,800 pages. And because of this, we know that Judge Navarro, because of the misconduct of the prosecutors, Judge Navarro declared a mistrial. Now, this, to the grand jury again, this evidence was withheld from you, and evidence was withheld from Larry Wooten, and so he testified to you that there were no BLM snipers, and it has been proven, it's indisputable now that there was, and there was also FBI snipers, and that they were surrounding the home, and that they were actually pointing guns at the Bundy family, specifically during the Dave Bundy arrest. I think that would have made a difference to you. And there are many other things that were told to you during the grand jury witnesses or testimonies that were lies or misrepresentations of the truth. And I believe that if you could see this evidence, if you could understand this evidence, if you would have been able to have the opportunity to see it then when you should have been able to see it, I think that you may not have indicted us. And the suffering that we went through for the last 2 years and the suffering that Todd Engel and Greg Burleson and many others are still going through could have been completely avoided. Now, speaking directly, I speak now more directly to members of the trial jury in the first tier trial. If you can remember, recall where Todd Engel brought up Dan Love. And when he did that, the prosecutors went crazy. The judge stopped the proceedings, and you went out. You actually left the courtroom. Well, Todd Engel was reprimanded for bringing up Dan Love, and he was stripped of his pro se status to be able to defend himself in the courtroom. And you probably noticed that from that moment on, Todd Engel couldn't talk, couldn't say anything. You didn't hear from him the rest of the time. Why was that such a big deal? Why did they reprimand Todd and strip him of his ability to speak in the courtroom? Because he mentioned Dan Love's name. Well, Dan Love, as you probably know, maybe even knew during the trial, but he was the special agent in charge. He was making the decisions. He was getting them from Washington, D.C. with directives, and then he was making all the decisions. Well, under the direction, first of all, before this trial, Dan Love had been fired from the Bureau of Land Management for misconduct for several other operations that he had performed, and they fired him for misconduct. I don't even know if that was allowed to be told to you. I don't think it was. But at the Bundy Ranch, under the direction of Dan Love, the snipers were placed on the hills. And the direction, and they were to be around the Bundy Ranch in a 360-degree, 24/7 for surveillance. They had authorization to use their the agency-issued rifles for lethal force if necessary. This was under the direction of Dan Love, and he blatantly lied about it to the grand jury, and he lied about it in the documents. And he withheld evidence from the lead investigator, Larry Wooten, about it, including, and also the prosecutors, Steve Myrie and Nadia Ahmed, took that information and also held it and hid it. Also, under the direction of Dan Love, they were killing cattle and dumping them in mass graves. Well, Todd Engel and many other people around the country saw this. They heard about the snipers. They heard about the BLM agent under the direction of Dan Love who body slammed, or saw video of him body slamming a 57-year-old woman to the ground, to the asphalt. They also heard about how the Bureau of Land Management, under the direction of Dan Love, was tearing out 100-year-old water infrastructure. Water infrastructure that the Bundy family had rights to, deeded titled rights to. And you didn't hear about that in the trial. You probably knew nothing about it. I don't even know if you knew about them tearing the water infrastructure out. Did you hear about them body slamming Margaret Houston to the ground? Did you see that video? Did you know that they were killing the cattle from the helicopter, that they dug mass graves and were burying them in, leaving the baby calves out in the desert? Did you know that? Would have that made a difference? These are the reasons why Todd Engel and Greg Burleson and the others came, because they saw these atrocities. And yet you went in a trial, and I'm speaking to the jury, in a trial, you didn't even get to hear why they came. Also, the First Amendment areas. Did you know that they set up First Amendment areas. The Bureau of Land Management set up First Amendment areas and said that no one can protest outside these little areas. Did you know that Governor Sandoval, the governor of Nevada, actually in an open statement condemned the Bureau of Land Management for these, for making a First Amendment area? Did you hear about that? This impacted Todd Engel and brought him to the ranch. All of these things that he was seeing video of, and statements from the governor, and actions that the Bureau of Land Management were doing, brought him to the Bundy Ranch. And all of it was done under the direction of Dan Love. Why wasn't Dan Love in your trial? Why wasn't he in the trial? Why did they not allow Dan Love to come in the trial and testify? Why weren't these things brought forth? It was because the judge did not allow them to, and because the prosecutors and the BLM agents were withholding this evidence and actually telling the judge that there was no snipers. So, we want to show you this information. We want you to contact us, and we want to show you this information. We feel it is important for the sake of justice, for the sake of our system, our judicial system, and for the sake of Todd and Greg and the many others that have been affected by it. We need to make sure that this does not happen again. And we believe that you can help us do this. We believe that your verdict would have been different if you would have truly seen the information. The truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth. Both the grand jury and the jury in the first year, where 2 men were convicted. We're asking you to come forth and to contact us. And Sherry will give the number in which she wants you to contact. If you want to be in private, so that your name isn't out there, that's great. If you want to be more public, then that's great too. But we want to show you this information. We want you to truly look at it and analyze it and decide whether it would have impacted your verdict or not. And then we will go from there. And that's what this video is about. I just barely touched the very tip of the iceberg of the evidence that we want to show you. And we promise you that it will only be certified discovery from the case. We are not going to bring in anything that isn't certified, that we cannot show you and prove to you. But we want you as the jury to come forth, because we believe that you still have the power to make a difference here, and to basically expose the things that are happening in our courtrooms that cannot continue to happen. Just so you and others will know that if the courtroom, if the justice system becomes so corrupt that people lose confidence in it, then that's when societies collapse. And we don't want that. We don't want that. And we're asking you to come forward and to help us straighten this stuff out. We plead with you to do that, because it's right, and because men are suffering because of these lies, and because we need to straighten it out for our country and for our nation, and for the goodness of everything that we've been able to enjoy in this nation. And anyway, with that, I end and ask you to come forward, and Sherry Duvall will give you the contact information to contact.
Okay, this is Sherry Duvall. Let me see if I can get down here. Oh, goodness. And I've got the sun behind me, so forgive me. I will put contact information in the comments of this video. We will be getting it up on YouTube, and we'll be putting contact information there as well. We are asking all of the jurors in both the grand jury and the trial jury to come forward and let us know if you're willing to see this information, if you're willing to see the truth. We've got documents, we've got videos, we've got certified discovery to show you and ask you if it would have made a difference. Editor at redoubtnews.com, REDOUBTNEWS.com. You can go to the website and click on the form to contact us. You can, I'll even share my cell phone number with you, which is 208-597-4900. Call us. We want to talk to you. We want to know if this would have made a difference in your verdict. And time is kind of the essence here. We've got men that are getting ready to be sentenced within the next couple of weeks. We want to show the judge that all of this information was important and it needs to be rectified. Todd Engel needs to get out of jail. Greg Burleson needs to get out of jail. These men need some relief from the system. So free Todd Engel, free everybody. Let's get this done. Thank you, everyone.